Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you have not checked out that I have played Resident Evil 9, go ahead and check that out. If you want to, I'll leave a link in the description to my playthroughs or something to the first video in the description, or I'll leave something up there in the cards or something. But in that playthrough, after finishing it, I did say that I would read Grace's report here. We got this after finishing the game, and it sort of ties in what has been happening with Raccoon City with the Resident Evil series. Hopefully, maybe there's some more lore behind this that we have no idea of. Sit back and relax. There are 60 pages of this. Grab some snacks, grab beverage, whatever. Put this in the background, whatever you guys want to do, and let's get into this. So, Grace's report, the truth behind Raccoon City. What has she written up about this entire thing? So, introduction. In 1998, Raccoon City was devastated by a massive outbreak caused by a viral leak from the pharmaceutical giant Umbrella. The United States government responded by launching a missile strike to wipe out the infected and erected a blockade to seal off the city. In 2004, following a court trial, the Umbrella Corporation declared bankruptcy. A complete account of the events was never released until probably now, since Grace has all the information. So yeah, we understand, everybody pretty much understands what happened to Raccoon City after the events of RE1, 2, and 3. Zombies everywhere, city gets nuked, or supposedly nuked, and then Raccoon City is still standing, Resident Evil 9 happens, blah 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 blah. However, in October 2026, which is around the time Resident Evil 9 happens, it was discovered that the city had been used as a hub for the production and trafficking of bioweapons. This report reveals that the established narrative of the Raccoon City incident was falsified and elucidates newly discovered truths surrounding the incident. This is 1968. I think this is when Umbrella got started. So, to properly understand the truth, we must first go back to the beginning of it all. In 1968, Oswald E. Spencer, James Marcus, and Edward Ashford founded the Umbrella Corporation. Having witnessed the horrors of the Second World War and the dread of the Cold War, Spencer felt a sense of despair at watching the world repeat the same mistakes. He felt it was his duty to bring about a change to humanity. That's Oswald E. Spencer right there. As stated in court records following the Raccoon City incident, his ultimate goal was to bring about the viral evolution of the human race. Thus, he relentlessly pursued virus research through illegal and inhumane means. This fact remains unchanged, which is true. It's crazy how we only hear, not only hear, but a majority of the time about Umbrella, we hear only Spencer's name. Like, we hardly hear James Marcus's name. We hear more about Edward Ashford at some points in the series. I think more in Code Veronica, I'm pretty sure, but majority of the time it's always Oswald E. Spencer. 1970s. From the very beginning of Umbrella, the company faced rapid change and intense internal strife. Most notably, the sharp ideological divide between Spencer and Marcus. According to court records, this conflict was cited as the primary factor leading to the unusual developments which followed. In 1978, James Marcus developed the T-virus, which would go on to become the cause of the subsequent outbreak. So yeah, James Marcus made the T-virus in 1978, and in 1998, 20 years later, Raccoon City happened. 1980s. This is a crucial period for understanding the basis of what caused the incident and the truth behind the entire case. Spencer's influence and ARC's establishment. Spencer used internal politics to have Marcus demoted, absorbing T-virus research into a facility under his own control. From then on, Umbrella began to actively research and develop bioweapons under Spencer's leadership. The underground facility known as ARC, which was discovered during recent events, originally served as the administrative center of Umbrella's research. Several documents outlining Spencer's plan for ARC have also been discovered. Excerpt from Confiscated Records, Long-Term Strategic Review, 1980, 0422, ARC-centric Integrated Research Roadmap. Step 1, concentrated investment into Wesker's plan and the T-virus. Step 2, establishment of ARC as a central command center. Step 3, development of ELPIS. Step 4, memory transfer and forced evolution. This is the first record instance of a significant keyword, ELPIS. So yeah, this is the first time we see the word ELPIS. Looks like whenever ARC was being developed back then, we see the ELPIS first pop up. This is what we see in Resident Evil 9. So this is what happens in Resident Evil 9, that antiviral agent. The Connections involvement. Also, I want to point out, in Resident Evil 2, there was another big lab that we got to explore called the Nest. And I find it crazy how, I'm pretty sure, maybe this was the case, how the Nest and the Ark were there. So they were both there, but we only got to manage to run around the Nest in Resident Evil 2 and 3 or whatever. And it wasn't until Resident Evil 9 that we finally got to discover the Ark and run around in it. So continuing on, the following documents regarding Marcus's involvement were also discovered. Excerpt from confiscated records, receipt of donation 1986, recipient James Marcus, sender F Foundation, amount $30 million. This document shows a suspicious flow of funds being channeled to Marcus. Past FBI investigations revealed that the source of the funds, the F Foundation, was just one of the puppet organizations of the Connections. The F Foundation no longer exists. So if you guys played Resident Evil 7, that's where we got to find out more about the Connections, people involving that organization who made Evelyn. It continues on with Resident Evil 8 in Village. Before we fight Mother Miranda, we see all those files about the Connections, about her being involved with mentoring Spencer and stuff like that. The Connections is a criminal organization that various government agencies have been sounding the alarm against for years. This illicit group is at the heart of all this. Evidence suggests that the Connections sought involvement with Umbrella Central Operations. Additional documents belonging to the protege of Marcus, Brandon Bailey, have been uncovered. So in this picture, we get to see some scientists there. You guys can't really see here, but I believe, let me move myself out of the way. I believe this lady on the right, on the far right, I think that might be Mia Winters. I'm not quite sure, but I know for sure that little girl in the middle, that is Evelyn from Resident Evil 7. Excerpt from confiscated records, telegraph log 1988. Sender Brandon Bailey, recipient F Foundation. Preparations are complete. I think it's time they made contact with me directly, don't you? I await a response. This indicates that Bailey took over correspondence with the Connections, succeeding Marcus. Bailey was rumored to be the founder of the Connections, but he may have only been a small cog in the larger machine. We now believe the Connections has had deep roots in the criminal underworld since before the 1980s. Much about the Connections remains unknown. So it sounds like the Connections have been around for as long as Umbrella has. So that's always interesting to know. Spencer's purge. In order for Spencer to obtain complete control over Umbrella, he used force to deal with any internal opposition and influential adversaries. A list of these individuals, seemingly prepared by an associate of Spencer's, was recently discovered. Excerpt from confiscated records, re-evaluation list. Following the CEO's re-evaluation protocol, measures will be taken against these individuals. Cheryl Moore, Michael Kramer, James Marcus, ... omitted. So yeah, it looks like Spencer wanted these three people out, reevaluated, so Spencer can have complete control. 1990s. During this period, Umbrella continued to grow and expand through ties with the government. The organization became so large that Spencer could no longer fully control it. Numerous accidents plagued Umbrella facilities around the world as a result of poor management. Furthermore, information was being leaked to rival organizations and the Connections due to moles who had infiltrated the company. Yet despite the circumstances, Spencer was able to thoroughly protect and complete his research at ARC, the research Elpis. While most records regarding Elpis were lost with the destruction of ARC, a previous few remain. So yeah, we saw that Elpis was, if you guys haven't played Resident Evil 9 yet, this is a spoiler. So Elpis wasn't a bad thing. Elpis was the antiviral agent that Spencer left behind in order to hopefully save the world, or repent, atone for what he's done. Excerpt from confiscated records, Spencer's message 199, data missing. Tricell, HCF, the family, and Umbrella. Elpis shall bring it all to an end, data corrupted. Yeah, so it looks like Spencer left this message in, looks like the year 1990 something. It leaves out the last number and then the date after that. The four companies, Tricell, who helped found the BSAA, or helped fund the BSAA, and works with Umbrella. HCF, I don't know what that organization is, the family, I don't know what that organization is, but they're all linked, and Spencer made Elpis to destroy pretty much everything. And this is the scene that we saw at the end of Resident Evil 9. The only information leaked about Elpis was that it had the potential to upset the military balance of the entire world. However, a strictly managed password known only to Spencer was needed to access it, which we found whenever we played as Grace. So everybody thinking that Elpis was a bad thing, especially Zeno thinking that Elpis was going to be enhancing his powers, you might say, and it could bring more destruction. It could be another weapon to the entire world. That's what Zeno thought. But obviously, once we found out that was not the case. What is Elpis? Elpis is a powerful antiviral drug. However, this was unknown to those who sought it. The Connections and other black market groups mistakenly thought it to be a powerful bioweapon with the potential to control human minds. So yeah, that pretty much just summed up what I just said. So yeah, everybody thought it was a bad thing. It was going to be another bad thing, another powerful bioweapon that if you get injected with it, it's gonna do some crazy stuff to you. Or Zeno thought if he injected it himself, he's gonna become more powerful and control everybody in the freaking world. But that was not the case. This confusion likely stemmed from the fierce competition surrounding bioweapon development. It was common knowledge that Spencer, the developer of Elpis, aimed for the evolution and control of humanity through viral technology. Completion of Elpis. Based on data taken from the confiscated records and changes in Spencer's behavior, we believe Elpis was completed around the mid-1990s. So Elpis has been around for a good while, actually. Resident Evil 2 didn't happen until 1998. So you mean to tell me Elpis has been around for the entire Resident Evil series, and we thought that Spencer was the bad guy? I mean, we can kind of see why, but he atoned for it. He tried to make up for it, probably even before Resident Evil 2 even happened. After this period, the records showed a marked decrease in the number of public statements from Spencer. A similar decrease in activity was also observed at the Raccoon City orphanage. Disturbingly, it is suspected that the children at the orphanage had long been used for Umbrella experimentation. Oh, that's kind of sad. They used the orphanage, they used the kids for their projects, for their experiments. That's kind of sad. While Spencer frequently visited the orphanage, records indicate he stopped in the 1990s. Furthermore, the orphanage was under the research jurisdiction of William Birkin in the late 1990s, and we all know who William Birkin is. Birkin turned against Spencer, ultimately leading to the leak of the T-virus. So it was pretty much William Birkin's fault. The T-virus got unleashed into Raccoon City. 1998, the Raccoon City incident. Yeah. This is the stuff everybody knows pretty much. The T-virus leaked from the Umbrella research facility in the Raccoon City, causing an unprecedented outbreak. In response, the government decided to launch a missile strike on the city under the pretense of containing the spread. However, this is where we had been misled. The missile strike was not launched to prevent the spread of infection. So what was the missile strike for? Why was we thought the city was nuked, but it turns out that wasn't the case. So what happened with this missile strike? A plan was formed to disrupt the relationship between the government and Umbrella and shift the blame for illegal activities onto Spencer. Found records indicate that the Connections lobbied for the missile strike. Oh, so yeah, the Connections look like they have an involvement with the missile. Excerpt from confiscated records, access log, first assembly minutes. ARC has been secured. Commence the missile strike. The blame will fall solely on Spencer. With this, Umbrella will be dismantled and will seize their assets. Oh, okay. So for years we thought Spencer was the bad guy, right? He wasn't the one that made the T-virus. James Marcus was, but it seems that Spencer with ARC finished Elpis to bring all these organizations down to the ground. It feels like no one wanted him to do that. The Connections, Tricell maybe, all these other organizations, the black market, didn't want Spencer to finish this stuff off. Like, he didn't want them to end it. So it looks like the Connections have a hand in launching the missile and then putting blame on Spencer, because since the T-virus was made by Umbrella, the leak happened by William Birkin. they're gonna all put the blame on Spencer because he's one of the founders of Umbrella, right? But it shows that Spencer was not really such a bad guy, especially after creating Elpis before the Raccoon City incident happened. So this is crazy. Their goal was the acquisition of Umbrella assets, particularly the thing they believed would disrupt the world's military balance, Elpis. So everybody wanted a hand into Elpis. Everybody wanted that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Everybody thought that it was going to be a bad thing. Due to Bailey's involvement, the connections were aware of Umbrella's inner workings prior to the Raccoon City incident. This set them up to swiftly secure Ark before instructing the government to carry out the missile strike after the Raccoon City incident. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. It shows that Ark was there with the Nest, the other lab that we got to see in Resident Evil 2 and 3. I think it was in 3. I don't know if we actually went down there, but in Resident Evil 2 especially. So not only the Nest was there, but Ark was there. So that just shows how massive that underground was for Raccoon City, right? We underestimate the size of Raccoon City. I thought the Nest was already huge. I thought that was the only lab that was under there. Nope, it turns out that the Ark was also down there. So that's just wild. Like, how long did it take them to build that underneath Raccoon City? That's just madness to me. After the Raccoon City incident, the Umbrella trials. As is well known, the trials were held after the events of the Raccoon City incident. Testimony from Raccoon City survivors, along with evidence submitted by the Global Pharmaceutical Consortium, demonstrated the scope of Umbrella's nefarious activities, or nefarious or whatever. Evidence against Spencer was presented at the trials by his subordinate, Albert Wesker. It is now evident that Wesker was linked to Tricell, which in turn had strong ties to the connections. Therefore, it is highly likely there was pressure from the government and the connections during the trials. In 2004, following the outcome of the trials, Umbrella was forced into bankruptcy. Just as the connections and the government intended, Oswald E. Spencer was held accountable as CEO and he disappeared from the public eye. So yeah, everybody blamed Spencer for pretty much the entire thing, even though the connections, the government, Wesker, Tricell all had ties to the connections and all had ties to the fall of Umbrella, but Spencer's taken the fall for it, even though it was really not his fault. Acquisition of Ark. The connections and the government seized Ark during the Raccoon City incident. Thereafter, Ark served as a base for the research, development, and distribution of bioweapons. Documents believed to be transaction lists have also been seized. These list Umbrella's competitors along with the organizations that were previously found guilty of illegal activity. Unfortunately, most evidence was lost with the collapse of Ark. Recovery efforts continue, but success is unlikely. Proliferation of bioterrorism. Following the Raccoon City incident, weaponized viruses developed by Umbrella were leaked. Subsequently, instances of bioterrorism utilizing this technology spread around the globe. So yeah, with all the viruses that Umbrella was making, they were pretty much all used throughout the Resident Evil series, pretty much around the world. We saw events in Resident Evil 5 in Africa, Code Veronica, where in Antarctica or something like that. Resident Evil 6, we saw certain events in the US again. We saw events in Europe. We saw events in China. So this was going worldwide, this stuff. In 2013, President Adam Benford was assassinated in a bioterrorist attack. We saw this in Resident Evil 6. Leon had to kill the president because he got turned into a zombie by the freaking virus that supposedly Helena let in. I think that's what happened. I think that's what Helena said. Something happened. Intelligence agencies report that the president wished to reveal the full truth of the Raccoon City incident. It is possible that President Benford was privy to the facts revealed in this report. So yeah, we got to see that in Resident Evil 6, that we saw that the president wanted to let the world know what was going on with Raccoon City and the truth behind it. But it looks like somebody did not want that to happen and sent in the virus to kill him, to shut him up. So, and then we saw that Leon had to kill him. He had to shoot him because he was already a zombie. There was no coming back for him. Spencer's final years. Remaining records about Spencer after the dissolution of Umbrella are scarce, but a new source of information has recently come to light. An interview conducted by Alyssa Ashcroft. This is what we saw in Resident Evil 9 and Requiem. We got to see the final videotapes when Grace was in Ark. Despite being responsible for countless atrocities, Spencer showed some signs of remorse in this interview. Having lost everything, he sought atonement. While Elpis is a powerful instrument that can render viral weapons inert, it also has the potential of a panicia, I don't know how to pronounce that word, to be used for good. It's possible that Spencer's true motivations behind Elpis were peace and redemption. That is what we saw at the ending of Resident Evil Requiem. We saw Spencer actually taking the credit, not taking the credit, but atoning, wanting to atone, wanting to apologize for everything that has happened with Umbrella, with everything that he's done. So that's why he made Elpis and finished it in the mid-1990s again, before Resident Evil 2 and Raccoon City incident even happened. Elpis was peace and redemption. While he remained obsessed with the evolution of humanity throughout his later years, most testimonies describe him as nothing but a senile old man. Spencer died in 2006 at his secluded estate. His true intentions behind developing Elpis will forever remain unknown. So we saw Spencer died. I think this is talking about when Spencer was murdered by Wesker in his mansion. So it brings a new perspective as to why Wesker murdered Spencer. We saw the cutscenes in Resident Evil 5 where Spencer says that he wanted to become a god or something like that. And then Wesker kills him and says that that right will finally be his. It brings a new perspective as to why Wesker murders him, because Spencer says this because that was what he was thinking at first when he made Umbrella, when he founded Umbrella. His ideals was to become a god, to control people or something like that. That was his ideal before founding Umbrella. That is what we got to see out of those specific words from Spencer. I was to become a god. That is what we saw. That's what we thought. We saw all the bad ideals from Spencer. But as I said, the new perspective as to why Wesker murdered him is probably because Spencer wanted to destroy Umbrella. He wanted to destroy everything. He wanted to release Elpis and bring down everything. And I feel like Wesker knew that, and so Wesker kills him in order to take control of what Spencer left behind. So that's why it can bring a new perspective as to why Wesker murders Spencer, because Spencer wanted to release Elpis and destroy everything. Wesker didn't like that, didn't want that to happen, so he kills him and takes control with pretty much everything, almost. Conclusion. We are almost done, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost done. As we can see from the records, the Umbrella Corporation's liquidation was intentionally orchestrated by the Connections and the US government. Furthermore, they were involved in the illegal development and trafficking of bioweapons in Raccoon City. The extent to which past and present governments were involved requires further investigation. Much about the Connections remains shrouded in mystery, and most records of their involvement were destroyed alongside ARC. Countless lives have been lost. As government officials, we have a duty to pursue the truth. If anything, finding it will finally offer some closure to everyone who fell victim to these heinous actions. FBI Intelligent Analyst, Grace Ashcroft. So that was the end of Grace's report right there. We got to see more events in Resident Evil 9 that continues the story. We got to see the involvement of Oswald E. Spencer and his downfall with Umbrella. So everybody pretty much blamed Spencer for everything when it really was not his fault, I guess you could say. The Connections had more of an involvement as to why the fall of Umbrella happened. Wesker had a hand in it, literally. The Connections have been around for almost as long as Umbrella has. And I don't think we got any lore or any information of the Connections until Resident Evil 7. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we ever heard of the Connections until Resident Evil 7. So yeah, that was pretty much Grace's report right there. A lot of interesting stuff involving Raccoon City, Umbrella, Tricell, the Connections, Oswald E. Spencer, James Marcus, William Birkin, Wesker's mentioned in there. It kind of ties pretty much a lot of this stuff together. So yeah, that was my read along of Grace's report, the truth behind Raccoon City. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more, and I will see y'all in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.